right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us with our final presenter for the DTalks session. And stay tuned because after this we have the Cross Kalhan, all that and more. So first up, I'm going to invite Sanchit Arora of Renesa Architecture and Interior Design, New Delhi. Let's have a round of cheer for our final presenter.
All right, good evening everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sanchit Arora. I'm a very young architect. Currently working with my father, Mr. Sanjay Arora, and we have our own firm by the name Renesa Architecture Design Interiors. And yes, I've been working since the pre-demonetization days, yes, for that matter. Pardon me if I go wrong anywhere. It's my first try at Pecha Kucha. So today, I'm going to be talking on something that is very important, inevitable, and something that revolves around something we run away from, reality. All right. Okay. All right, what just happened? All right. What are the two basic realities of life? Can someone answer? And for God's sake, please don't say standing at the queues of the ATM. First is birth. Second is death. All right. You might be wondering, why is this guy talking about death at such a celebrated event, you know? Well, when you talk about inspiring innovation, innovation comes when you go weird, when you go crazy. So today, I'm going to go crazy. Innovation. Death, 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 and death. All right. Do you see that negative vibe running through your faces right now? Yes, my friends, that's the perception of death in our society right now. All right. So next question, how do we change it? You know, what I have in my mind is basically, why not use architecture as a tool and kind of synthesize that with death? So architecture plus death. You know, moving on. All right. What is visible but still invisible? You know, death is something that is not new in our society. You know, the spaces of death have always been a part of our society. But can anyone answer me, why are they always shunned away in our daily existence? I don't get it. You know, why is there such a hypocrisy? You know, well, every human knows that the ultimate reality of life is death. But has there been any honest approach or any open inquiry about the same? I don't get it, you know. All right, let's take an example. Let's talk about New Delhi. You know, let's do the macro analysis. Delhi, with about 50 to 55 zonal crematoriums, cater to about 5,000 to 10,000 deaths every day. That means 20 to 25 deaths per working crematorium. Out of the 50 to 55 crematoriums, how many of us expect all of them to be working simultaneously? Let's just add a little giggle in the middle for the government. Hence, our working, governing principles of a crematorium expand from the existing distance, size, facilities, and presence of a sacred river to the most important three P's in the market right now. That's the pollution, the population, and the preservation. Moving on to something that's really important, what I have seen, these crematoriums in New Delhi are placed next to a nala. I was surprised, but yes, they have been. Next to a green buffer and away from the existing society. How do you expect the people to accept crematoriums as a part of the society when the urban planners are making the fun themselves? I don't get it. Changing scales. Let's talk about the micro-analysis of these spaces. Every crematorium has a ritualistic hierarchy attached to it. When an XYZ person dies, an X and Y and Z and ritual needs to be performed, but in a very organized manner. But my friends, this is India, Organized out here means being unorganized. Hence, there is a very, disrespectful and a horrible image that is given out. I talk with a personal experience of my grandmother's death. It was just horrible, Hence, which led to my research on these shadow spaces, Let's take this analysis to a very simplified role. What is actually a crematorium in our society? What is it? It's a public space. It's a public event. It changes the land use pattern, which is very important. It changes the land dynamics. The pricing changes when a crematorium comes next to you. It underlines the main issue of a green crematorium, which is the need of the hour right now. And at the same time, it preserves the greens. All right. Moving on, all of us, all the architects out here, they've tried their hands at the crematoriums and all. But can someone tell me why have we failed miserably? Because we are not, looking at the land dynamics next door. So how do we get down to the need of the hour? How do we plan these spaces and the anti-spaces, my friends? All right. By design, let's make the financials work. get the subsidized lands, be it hospitals or be it schools. Let's work on getting the integration of river and nala, create modules, let's redefine crematoriums for that matter, and let's work on a green modular design. If we know, a lot of percentage comes from the burning of the body. Why not design something that gives you 50% less emissions? All right. Now I'll take you through something that is very close to my heart, a project that I have done. It's the Green Park Crematorium. It's an abandoned crematorium right in the middle of the city. You'll ask me, why this site, An amazing site with an amazing potential. A proper green cover, next door to a very wealthy society, the Green Park Extension Society. Nala obviously running through it, a brilliant land use pattern of schools, hospitals, the aims. All right, next up. How do I approach the programming and methodology? We take care of the people who work at the crematorium, plus the housing of the priest, with the informal settlement, slum, and second is the careful screening of the buffer zone from the elite society next door. The idea is not to provide any hindrances for both the parties. Third is the design's philosophy of collaborating with the existing hospitals and institutions to provide the right solution in terms of the servicing. Fourth is the topography study, which is very important in terms of getting the aesthetics right for the architectural design. Getting down to the actual scale of the module that was created. The crematorium design that was given by me was actually divided into three main body parts. The first was the main entrance arena, the main central body, and the exit arena. As these spaces provide a different ambience and a zone for a person coming to burn the body or for the disease. The idea is to change the mentality through physicality. Hence, the idea behind such spaces is not only to design these spaces for the mourners, but for the disease, but also for the mourners. Let's move forward. There you go. What's the way forward? The whole idea behind this Pechakucha was to study the journey of this crematorium so far and how me or you guys as architects can change the perception of such spaces. The only way that I feel is to see at the inadequacies in the present-day crematoriums at all fronts, be it physical, emotional, metaphysical, and spiritual, and also adapt all the old Hindu rituals and kind of translate them into a very modern-day context. The other aspect that needs limelight is, you've seen hospitals, right? You've been to the Apollos, the Maxes, and all, 5-star lavish living, Why can't we have the same focus on crematoriums? Why is there such hypocrisy with such spaces? The attempt actually should be to provide clarity, and design meaningful spaces for such spaces, where going to such spaces is no longer a social taboo, but instead kind of fills our heart, with remembrance of great memories of the heavenly soul. Guys, I'm not here to sell my design. I'm here just to inform and educate you guys about the acceptance and the potential of such spaces in our society, the invisible sacred landscapes of our society. Many thanks, everyone. Cheers.